In the early stages of the Cold War, the nuclear bombs and the nuclear bombers were everything the world was afraid of. It became so crucial that some aircraft designs became fully dedicated towards engaging the enemy bombers as fast as possible in the shortest amount of time. Communication between the ground and the interceptor aircraft is also extremely crucial for an interception success. Aircraft such as the F-4D Skyray, the F-104 Starfighter, the English Electric Lightning, and many more. After the failure of the F-102, the F-106 came up really fast and became the interceptor of the US Air Force. However, eventually they got replaced by the F-16s and the F-15s. Despite never seeing combat just like its US Navy cousin the Skyray, the technology that was used in this vehicle was ahead of its time. Unlike the Skyray though, this aircraft used the US Air Force AIM-4 Vulcan series of missiles. And of course, as we all know, just like the Skyray, it also had the capability to carry out the AIR-2 Genie missile, a 1.5 kiloton warhead strapped on an unguided rocket designed to destroy enemy bombers within the 300-meter radius of its blast. Thankfully, this missile was only used once as a test, and the fear of the Cold War went from nuclear-carrying bombers to fast, low-altitude bombers and eventually ballistic missiles and mutually assured destruction. And the need for a dedicated interceptor became totally obsolete. This was the general history of the F-106A Delta Dart. Now let's get on with the armors and modules. Welcome to the Armor and Modular Protection Analysis, where we basically analyze the armors and modules inside of a vehicle. Today's aircraft is the F-106A Delta Dart. Now the first thing we need to take a look at is the crew. This aircraft has only one pilot, which has the helmet-mounted sight and a radar with infrared search and track. One that is fairly reliable and decent compared to what we have seen on the Skyray or other competitors. The radar presets are fairly nice and feel modern when you try to work with it. However, due to the fact that it's an early radar, you must press lock multiple times in the HMS in order to have a solid lock. Plus, on top of the fact that this radar has no IFF, it can be a little bit problematic in simulator battles. So always visually and tag-wise, double check the target in front of you. If this rod in front of my cockpit would allow me to do so. This aircraft has 9 fuel tanks that are not self-sealing, with the possibility to mount 2 external fuel tanks with these fuel presets. The fuel presets on this aircraft are simply phenomenal. This, alongside the incredible fuel consumption, makes the pilot to have plenty of flexibility when it comes to choosing its fuel. I personally wouldn't recommend more than 17 minutes of fuel in total for AIR-2, whether if it's with the fuel tanks or without the fuel tanks, and 20 minutes of fuel in total for long-term sim battles. But overall, it is something incredible nonetheless. This aircraft has the J75-P17 engine, the bigger brother of the J57, which was also installed on the F-4D Skyray. This engine is simply ridiculous for its battle rating. Some people like to compare it to the F-104. Honestly, in my opinion, it's just a lot better. And the thing about this aircraft is that the engine power alongside the incredible flight performance can make this into a menacing killing machine for its BR, to the point that this thing has the same maximum wing grip speed as the Kfir Canard. I will talk about its flight performance a little bit further into this video. For now, let's get on with the armaments of this aircraft. Let's start with the infrared AIM-4G Super Falcons, installed on the internal weapons bay pylons, 1 per hardpoint, giving you 4 total. The AIM-4 Falcon was the Air Force's equivalent to the US Navy's AIM-9 Sidewinder. It was so that the Air Force eventually went out and used the Sidewinders as well. And honestly, I don't really blame them. If this thing actually had Sidewinders instead of these, it would have probably been a lot better for its performance. Out of 54 Falcons fired in Vietnam, only 5 kills were confirmed. The AIM-4G Super Falcon is the type of missile that has 27G maximum overload, somewhat of a decent range, but Jesus Christ, it is so slow. Like, seriously, these guys make the Matra 530s look like Fakor 90s. This, alongside the fact that it lacks any kind of proxy fuse, makes me really question why the did the Air Force keep going with this missile? And then I realized that this is a missile to intercept bombers, not MiG-21s and jet fighters alike. It's more like a co-panzer, but hey-ho. Up next, we have the AIM-4F Super Falcon, installed on the same position as the previous missiles, giving you 4 total. These guys are basically radar-guided version of the previous missile, and somehow it feels like it pulls worse than it already is. However, the advantage is that this time you can also fire the missile in a head-on. As I said, these missiles are incredibly easy to dodge, not even by countermeasures or anything. Just simply outrunning it or making it harder for the missile to directly hit you is enough. Some people use these missiles to slow the enemies down, forcing them to maneuver and slow down, and then kill them using the main cannon. Honestly, it's not a bad move and you can use it quite well. And speaking of the main cannon, this aircraft has an M61 Vulcan installed on the bottom center of the fuselage, and you will not be able to fire it unless the weapon bay is closed. So make sure to have the keybinds ready so you wouldn't have troubles like the Comanche. The M61 Vulcan is a high rate of fire and high velocity cannon. You only have 650 rounds of ammunition. Now, it might sound quite a lot, but you can run out of them quickly if you don't have any kind of trigger discipline. Learning how to aim the gun and managing your energy is extremely crucial for your gameplay, as you can either become an absolute tomato of a player or a war machine role-playing as an aerial Rambo. And speaking of energy management, let's have a look at the flight performance. When it comes to its flight performance, this aircraft feels amazing to fly with. You basically fly like your stereotypical Delta Wing. When you start to take off, your acceleration may not look and sound impressive. What is impressive is the engine performance at higher speeds. Hell, even on high altitudes, this engine feels like a champ. This, alongside the Delta Wing configuration, allows you to turn incredibly well, unlike the F-104 Starfighter. However, this comes at a cost. As I said, this is a Delta Wing. Delta Wings have a major problem of losing a lot of speed once they turn. Sure, they can help out quite a lot in turning, but losing speed in this can be an absolute death sentence. For that reason, I would recommend you to maintain your speed and energy as much as you can. I'm not saying that you should basically act like an F-104, but just remember that if you slow down, there's a high chance that you might get third-partied or absolutely dunked on. You see, Delta Wings like the MiG-21 BIS manage their speed incredibly well. While yes, becoming slow can be a death sentence if you're not careful, the raw engine power of the MiG-21 BIS, alongside its amazing engine management, makes it recover a lot faster. In the Delta Dart, you simply don't have the slow speed engine power, and those very same wings that helped you turn now become an air brake and turn you into the bane of your existence. So watch out, manage your energy, and good luck on the battlefield. Now let's get on with the game modes. When it comes to aerialistic, man, it feels like cheating to play this vehicle. Once you're in a down tier, you feel like you're bullying the f*** out of a bunch of toddlers. But once you're in an up tier, you feel like this is the right spot to fight on. By the way, I've seen plenty of players trying to roleplay as the makeshift MiG-21Ss or F-8 Crusaders, desperately trying to climb and use the radar missiles, only to be shot down by the same aircrafts they were trying to imitate. Personally, I wouldn't go for this playstyle, as yes, your missiles will perform better in higher altitudes, but Jesus Christ, these missiles don't have any proxy fuses, and you don't have any chaff countermeasures either, so you get punched in the face very easily. I'll tell you this, you can stay in mid to low altitudes, maintain your speed, and try your best to use your cannons as your primary and shaft the enemies, or trying to use those missiles on unaware players. Getting kills with these missiles are kind of rare, but they're very much possible. However, you should not rely on the missiles all the time. Instead, rely on your cannons and master your gunnery and your flight performance. If you don't have any use for your gun, use those missiles as countermeasures. Yes, you might have an amazing flight performance, but once an all-aspect missile comes to your face, what's the point of an incredible turn rate when you're slow and an R-60 is coming at you? Outside of that, watch out for all-aspect missiles, use your cannon and your flight performance to your advantage, and only see the missiles as a bonus, and good luck on the battlefield. Now let's get on with the air simulator battles. When it comes to air sim, holy crap, why the f is this thing at this BR? Seriously, this thing can outrun anything at its BR. The dogfighting performance is actually amazing, and it feels like cheating when you try to play this thing in sim. As I said, the radar is very good, but unfortunately it has one major problem. Actually, multiple problems now I think about it. First of all, it doesn't have any IFF, forcing you to visually identify the aircraft, or just get close enough so you could see the friendly tags. Now I understand that this heads-up display is also your multifunctional display, where it basically shows where the enemy is and whatnot. And it would be fine if we could have this thing in the corner of our screen or, you know, somewhere close. The ground clutter on the screen actually blocks some of your vision on the front, not to mention that there's already a pillar of disappointment in front of you. Seriously, I saw this meme on Reddit and I couldn't control my fucking laughter. This is how I exactly feel like every time I try to play this thing. But hey, there's nothing a head tilt wouldn't fix. You know what I mean? But I have to say, outside of that, the rear visibility is decent enough. The missiles do feel fine because sometimes the players are unaware of what's coming behind them. And this time you also have the option to intercept the enemy bombers and attackers, which honestly feels incredibly fun to work around with. Oh, and I almost forgot, this thing also has an SAS mode, where it basically allows you to stabilize the aircraft without having any kind of problems. Yes, I'm looking at you, Skyrim. And overall, the Delta Dart feels incredible to fly with in sim. Yes, you don't have ground attack capabilities, but come on, the Skyrim is doing fine without bombs. Why not you? At the end, watch out for your surroundings, watch out for your mechanisms such as air brakes, weapons bay, and good luck on the battlefield. At the end, is this aircraft really worth it? Personally, I would say if the price is somewhere between $50 and below, it is absolutely worth it. If it is higher, then it depends on you whether if you like to spend money on it or not. With that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you actually enjoyed this video. Now, I'm gonna be real with you, I don't understand how I managed to make this video in like 2 or 3 days instead of 2 weeks, but if you enjoyed this video, please consider liking the video and subscribe to my channel. Dislike it if you dislike it, and if you want to support my channel even further, you can also join my YouTube membership or donate a super thanks if you want to. For now, this is me, Bob Dickinson, and thank you for watching.